Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today I want to again talk about Mr. Beast. Because it's one of those situations that just keeps evolving to the point where, what comes out the next day is infinitely more wilder than what came out a day ago. Now, for anybody that needs a refresher on the situation, Mr. Beast and his company was basically thrown into the wildfire of the internet because one large YouTuber at this point, almost 500,000 subscribers now, Dogpack404, uploaded a video where he exposed the Mr. Beast company and went to town basically covering some of their wilder practices, right? Alleged practices like illegal lotteries, for instance, and the fact that NDAs were being used to silence people from talking about situations that NDAs wouldn't even be applicable for, such as alleged crimes. Now, Dogpack404 came out with a second video on the whole situation, where he premiered it and he showcased, for a large part, an interview with an individual known as Jake Weddle. Jake Weddle would discuss, effectively, one of his, experiences in the Mr. Beast productions. I'm not joking, seriously bad production standards, okay? Like situations where he felt that he wasn't safe on set, he felt that there weren't, precautions being properly met, and in some cases, he feels traumatized from that experience of Mr. Beast for a paycheck that probably isn't worth the trauma. Now, towards the tail end of this video is a very, very serious situation that completely moves this whole Mr. Beast stuff to the next level. Now, while this Dogpack404 stuff was going on, obviously last week, 2 weeks ago, we even saw Chris Tyson, one of the big key members at Mr. Beast at one point, who basically was exposed, through chat logs, alleged chat logs, and their behavior to be creepy, allegedly, towards minors, okay? Now, obviously, this is a situation where you start to look into this person, and you start to see that they're a huge fan of a lowly con artist known as Shadman, and they would have art of this person allegedly up on their walls, and it was just a whole situation where, Mr. Beast, Jimmy, actually ended up severing ties with Ava Tyson. But of course, that was just one part of the Mr. Beast thing. Jimmy, who is the face of the entire Mr. Beast organization, is now, unfortunately, put into some of the most insane limelight that you can imagine. One where I really don't think there is any good answer out of it. So towards the tail end of this Mr. Beast situation, Jake here actually exposes that there was one employee at the Mr. Beast headquarters that apparently had a very serious conviction on record, and apparently was still employed at the company, even though they apparently full well knew of this person's serious conviction. Listen to this.
Someone pees in public, you're on the registry, you get it. You can still have a job after you're on the, that's one thing. You go to prison, you get rehabilitated, that's one thing. If you do your time, that's fine. I think there should be rehabilitation in this country. But that guy, from what I hear, I can't confirm or deny, from what I hear, he's on the registry for doing some not great stuff to some underage people.
So that's a very, very, very serious allegation. And obviously something like this would require some actual serious proof in the situation. So obviously, putting the old detective hat on, one of the people who was basically going up against Jimmy, Jake the Viking here, actually had a lot to say about this story. Here's the truth. Yes, Delaware is my brother-in-law. Yes, he is a RSO, registered offender, by the way. When he was 21, a 16-year-old girl accused him and others of SA. When she was 11, Delaware took a plea deal. That's why there's no jail time, but he still had to register. His nickname isn't Delaware because he can't go back to Delaware. He's from Delaware. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He's been back several times. He was hired before I was, and was actually the reason I got hired at Mr. Beast. Before being hired, Delaware sat down with Jimmy and Sue, Jimmy's mom, and explained to them everything. So yeah, Jimmy knew. But again, this incident happened in 2010. Delaware was hired in 2017 and 2018. Delaware was also let go from the company before I was. Delaware was supposed to be a behind-the-scenes manager, but in a couple videos, he was asked to participate because we needed people. He was reluctant, especially in the straitjacket video, because of his charges, and that's why he wore the mask. Delaware's charges are set to be dropped this fall. Now, it's interesting when people say charges are dropped. I think the proper term would probably be expunged. I don't think charges ever really get dropped like this, especially when you got like a conviction that you've pled to. Delaware has been nothing but a good person, an amazing husband to my sister, and the best father to my 2 nieces that I could ever ask for. They want no part in this and just want to live their lives away from the limelight. I understand why anyone would be upset and frustrated over these allegations, and I do not blame them. So I'm going to stop the Cope Olympics over here and show you exactly what people had found and dug up when this whole situation came to light. Based on DocPac's videos, it took people literally minutes to find the actual offender registry on this person. Now, the video that people are referring to with the whole mask and everything was this: I spent 24 hours straight in an insane asylum. So this is a video that's still actually uploaded and still viewable. And you can see in this photo that this masked individual in the first 5 seconds of the video is the one that people decided to focus on. So within 5 minutes, people had looked into the offender registry and started to find this individual. So if you look at the masked individual and you look at this mugshot over here, there is some belief that, yes, this is the same person, okay? Allegedly. Now, of course, if you read through the offender registry in this situation, what has been pled to is actually quite disgusting. So right here you can see that the description is registered as a result of out-of-state conviction. The conviction was the R word, 4th degree, by the way, with a victim less than 18. The victim's age was 11 and the offender's age was 16. Now people will say that, oh, but Muda, they were minors, both of them. In fact, this one guy says, hey, the guy was also a minor when the crime was said to have occurred. Doesn't justify his actions, but leaving out context is shitty. Yeah, it doesn't justify actions. Here's an extra pair of context there. 16 is when you're in high school. 11 is when you're in elementary, motherfucker. There's your context right there. You know, it's weird if you kind of think about it. Back in high school, if any one of my peers was going over to the elementary school for something strange, yeah, that person would be looked at very unfavorably by the elementary school, very unfavorably by us. It was a taboo back then, and it's a taboo very much now. So yeah, that's the kind of context I wish people would kind of add to these situations. See, not everything is as binary black and white evil. You have to look at these things with all of this, you know, extra context that human beings develop as they age. So what's funny about this Jake character right here is Jake Franklin was basically on Jimmy's ass. I probably have showcased some of his stuff while I was covering the story, where he said, Jimmy knew. No accountability, none. The silence is deafening. It just keeps getting worse. Here's the truth, by the way. Yeah, Delaware's my brother-in-law. So yeah, at the end of the day, the brother-in-law in this situation is a true scumbag. Now, I don't know of any real situation where somebody is, you know, somehow, actually innocent. There's been a false claim that's made. Why would you plead guilty and have that conviction added to your record? I've waited, you know, a while to release this video as compared to some of my peers because I genuinely did want to ask any lawyer, anybody, if there was a solid good reason. And from my understanding is, obviously, these two people were minors at the time, and maybe there was some, there might have been something that could have happened, maybe not enough to go to jail, but whatever conviction that you had to plead to, and the most disgusting conviction that we read here, enough to be put on the registry. And by the way, you know, this is not a conviction where you're put on the registry because you urinated in public and got caught, you know, sometime when you were 19, and 10 years later, you know, you explained that situation. No, the actual conviction we just read disgusts me to my core. Now, the thing about this whole story is, based on what Jake has effectively said, is had this been discussed, right? Like he said, he was hired before I was. Delaware sat down with Jimmy and Sue and explained to them everything. You are telling me that Mrbeast and the people working for him decided to hear this person out. Sorry, you read a conviction like that, it's disgusting. You're telling me you sit across somebody and you hear them out and you read their rap sheet? What did you have to hear to even consider hiring this person? Jimmy, Mr. Beast, is somebody that produces content that is aimed towards children. There is, in my opinion, no good response that you can give that could satiate anybody. This is not just disgusting and immoral. This is just shocking that somebody like Mr. Beast or anybody in the company would just hire somebody. And you don't need suits or fancy HR guys or corporate individuals to tell you that this is a bad idea. This is just something that even if you were a gang of the most unprofessional people with the largest YouTube channel at the time or the largest growing channel, you would realize this is a hire that you probably should never make in a million years. And this makes the context of this guy wearing this mask in the video even more harrowing. You hire a guy, you bring him into the team, and you're telling me if you know about this person's history, allegedly if that's how the story goes, the mask stuff is extra sociopathy on top of it. You know the person you've hired is in the wrong. You know you brought him in is in the wrong. And people who will say that, yeah, this person went to prison, or this person, I guess, did their time and they pled guilty or whatever. At the end of the day, if you plead guilty to committing this crime, I'm going to sit there and reasonably believe something has happened that can't be reversed. And in that situation, I really think when it comes to crimes involving children, this is my personal belief, hot take if it may be, you should go to life in prison, or, in some cases, places do capital punishments. I am not necessarily sympathetic to, I don't even have any opposition to that kind of stuff. This is some of the worst crimes that you can get onto. And that's just where I stand on it. Disagree if you want to disagree. Now, because of this whole situation blowing up the way that it has, obviously, a question that people have asked is, how much has this actually affected the Mr. Beast brand, so to speak? So if you go to Mr. Beast's channel and you look at, a video from 6 days ago in the midst of all of this controversy, the video did 131 million views, okay? Meaning that, as far as Jimmy's videos have gone, they've done pretty well. This is a very well-to-do video. Even comparing it to a video where he actually had 50 of very large YouTubers participate and add in extra viewership because of those large numbers, he still did very well here. Now, obviously, many people have looked into this video and used an extension on Chrome that basically told a lot of people that, hey, this guy got 2 million something dislikes. Now, in reality, apparently, according to Jimmy, the video is doing so well that it's got 98 to 99% like to dislike. And one of the things with this extension is if you have a Chrome extension that tells you dislikes, it's not accurate whatsoever. YouTube's API does not report dislikes whatsoever, so anytime you come across an extension, all it does is take dislikes that have been calculated in a registry that it has for users who also use a similar extension or that same extension and extrapolates it using math that will obviously not be accurate in any case according to these videos, especially for controversial videos where generally anybody that has a dislike extension probably is somebody that is actively disliking videos. I just wanted to bring that out there because just for the sake of, context and argument and actual research, I feel it's best to understand how this piece of technology works. That said, the video, if you start looking through it, there's been allegations that comments have been deleted. Now, obviously, comments being deleted, there's no way to even prove that, properly, unless you're posting something and your comment gets deleted. Sometimes spam filters act crazy. They will remove comments. I'll have comments removed from my videos. I never moderate my comments. I don't need to. If you ever have a comment deleted from my videos, it might be a spam filter. Or, what I've done is put my docs inside the actual YouTube auto moderation. So if you decide to post my address, then the YouTube bot will jump in and moderate and remove those things. So maybe there is some auto moderation, maybe there is some moderation, but it's not something that anybody can tangibly prove. That being said, what people can prove is throughout all of this, Mr. Beast has decided to sweep his content and basically hide a lot of these interesting moments that people have been digging up. For instance, when we were looking at that Shadman stuff from the first video, one video that Mr. Beast posted, tipping pizza delivery guy $10,000, is suspiciously only 10 minutes and 27 seconds long. Now, I have actual video proof from my research, because I save all of the actual, investigation work that we do, just so I can review it back down the road. And also in the event that somebody sues us and they're like, well, do you have the proof? Oh, bitch, we've got proof. If you look at a re-upload of the video from 5 years ago, it's 12 minutes and 43 seconds long. So evidently, something has happened to the Mrbeast video where now it's somehow shorter. What happened? Well, apparently Mrbeast has started jumping in to the YouTube editor feature and trimming out sections of these videos. So what got trimmed out of the tipping pizza delivery guy's $10,000? Well, after this gentleman shows up with the white shirt with the orange design, you can see Jimmy and that infamous Shadman poster on the wall. Watch this.
Dude. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Just keep it, man.
Yeah. So right here, you can see that this section where obviously you're sitting down ordering food or whatever, Jimmy is in the back over there and the Shadman poster is on the wall. Now, of course, if we play this footage right over here real quick, one thing you'll notice, and this is something obviously cut out, he'll look at that Shadman poster. Like, he's actually looking at it, so he knows full well that it exists, right? And obviously, Jimmy's not new to the internet. This is pretty much where he's made a lion's share of his money. He knows what that poster is. But that's suspiciously now been cut out of the actual video. If you go to the actual Mrbeast content, you can go to this section with this same individual right over here, and you hit play. And all of a sudden, you know, around the time when it's supposed to cut to, you know, the group of guys sitting inside the house, yeah, it cuts right here, and boom, that section was removed out of YouTube. So again, it's stuff like this where I look at it and I think instead of addressing the actual situation, all Jimmy has to do is start cutting out actual content, and over time, the controversy and all of the backlash should just blow right over. Now, it's in this situation that, again, people started looking even deeper, and one of the things that got leaked out, apparently from the company, very confidential, do not distribute, was apparently they are deciding to actually expand the scope of their investigations, and what they're doing is hiring a new chief human resource officer. Awesome! We are bringing in a seasoned leader to help us build a more inclusive environment and a world-class HR team. Mandatory training on safety, harassment, LGBTQ, diversity, sensitivity training, and workplace conduct. Listening sessions, so you can listen to every employee and their experiences and idea. Anonymous reviewing, external reviews. You know, all of this basically means nothing. On the beginning intro point of this video, when we're talking about the hiring of an individual that has an actual serious conviction on record, okay? You know, we live in a world where once you've been convicted of a crime, if you're ever a felon, getting a job is very difficult, okay? And sometimes, obviously, I can understand if you're somebody that has been to prison and you've done your time. I believe there are some crimes where obviously you can be rehabilitated from and you can pay your debt to society. When there's crimes involving children that people have convictions on the record, right? To give you an idea, if you ever have any tendency to be bad towards a child and you haven't committed a crime, I think you should absolutely seek therapy. If you have, however, got that conviction on the record, then I don't think there's any saving grace. Now, obviously, could there be extra, you know, things to it? Maybe there is some false stuff. Maybe there is a false conviction, right? But at the end of the day, there is a guilty plea, it seemed, in the situation allegedly, and why that had to happen, there really doesn't seem to be a good reason. And if you ever come across somebody like that, I don't know what they have to tell you to convince you to hire them, especially when the content you produce is geared primarily towards children, right? That is, without a doubt, one of the most harrowing things that I've witnessed throughout this whole situation. This is why it's escalated to this insane point. And you know, other things that people started resurfacing out of this was these NFT projects that Mrbeast once did. This is like 11 months ago when there was one sponsorship in his video, Creator League GG/Mrbeast, where ultimately at the end of the day, I believe a lot of the creators involved in this backed out after 24 or 48 hours. It really feels like after seeing this, you know, conviction record like this, none of these NFTs or anything even match. But it brings it to a point where we talk about illegal lotteries and we talk about, you know, the Feastables branding and how children are targeted. There's a lot of questions that have to be answered in that situation. Now, obviously, I think the real backlash here and really the real consequence for the entire Mrbeast brand is relationship to other YouTubers. Now, yesterday there was a video uploaded by Ludwig, a friend of the channel. He uploaded a video on Mogul Mail where he basically said that unless Mr. Beast has some actual salient proper response, there's no way he can actually continue to support or work for the guy. And I think that goes just to here on our channel at Some Ordinary Gamers. And I know plenty of my close friends in YouTube, people that I constantly collaborate with, people that I am in active business with, absolutely also say the same thing. So the whole connection to the rest of the wider community that has always put Mr. Beast in this positive good guy role, that's basically being eroded. I don't think there's any good answer that Mr. Beast can provide that will actually make me at least somewhat satiated. There's nothing that he can do that would turn that whole situation around. The fact that he allegedly is hired and let this guy operate near him when this registry, when this conviction existed on the record, that is insane. There is no good answer to that. I think Mr. Beast has a lot to do when it comes to responding to that illegal lottery. That is still a allegation that hasn't been addressed, especially when, you've been alleged to do something very illegal. I think that, the entire concept of these hoodies, as Dogpack showed in his initial video, where, signatures were apparently being forged, and that is in some way a scam. Obviously, we're discussing a wide variety of actual allegations, and the severity of them change, obviously, depending on what we're talking about, but this is, again, another allegation that needs to be addressed. The whole situation with, Jake Weddle, who suffered, in their mind, during an actual, production of Mr. Beast. Where's the apology there? And what about the actual Amazon Beast games, where there are some serious, serious allegations of people being treated in a fucked up way on set, and people being mishandled, people being put in danger? There is a lot of things that need to be covered. Now, obviously, from a YouTuber perspective, I don't think he's ever going to have the same connection to other creators as he once had, because this is stink that just does not wash off. Now, obviously, I've seen people bring up the idea of why are people in the defense squad, or why people aren't really talking about the situation, and they keep bringing up that there's money, there's, funds being exchanged, we're being paid off by the Beast crew. At the end of the day, I can show you bank statements. Never have I received $1 from this organization or Mr. Beast or anybody associated. But obviously videos like this, like the one I'm making, take some time to vet, to say things that obviously won't get you sued. But, to make sure that you're on the right side of history and you've got the right facts on board. And based on everything that we've seen, this whole Delaware stuff, that is the final straw, okay? That is the one thing that, in my opinion, you can't come back from. Now, at the end of the day, is Mr. Beast a brand that's too big to fail? Honestly, I don't think so. I think when it comes to the viewership that he has right now, especially with children who probably don't care about stuff like this or aren't so well educated, that'll still exist. But I think from having his face as the company, I don't think that there's going to be a lot of YouTubers that will work with him. I'm sure there still will be, but I think the YouTubers that I'm friends with that have, in my understanding, a really good moral compass probably will never want to associate themselves with somebody that has such a terrible track record, it seems, on hiring people. And I think sometime down in the next couple of weeks, there's probably going to be some serious statements coming out from Amazon in regards to those Beast games. I'm sure when it comes to big corporate companies, they're obviously in talks right now with the Mr. Beast crew and probably discussing next steps going forward. Is it worth proceeding when you've got this much stink on you? Because Ava Tyson was one thing. You could cut the fat right there and ignore the whole thing. But in this situation, when you've got the face of the company, Jimmy Donaldson, that's a whole separate situation that might make Amazon consider going into the future with this production. The other thing is, obviously, it's going to get more serious. And when I say that, I mean that Dogpack 404, based on my discussions and even my own talk with him, the third part is coming. And the third part alleges that there might be concealment of actual serious misconduct. And here's the thing. If the Delaware stuff was bad enough, if it comes out proven that there was concealment of actual serious allegations and people at the top, including Jimmy, knew about it, then there really isn't any coming back. And I think at that point, YouTube as a company needs to get involved and probably think, is it worth having a creator like this on? And look, at the end of the day, This is the last part, but I feel like it's worth mentioning, even though I don't think it's personally as important as seeking justice for victims involved. At the end of the day, there are victims in the story, right? You know, it started off with people who were minors at the time talking inappropriately with some of the people in Mrbeast's company, and it evolved to a situation where somebody was put on camera with a mask on to try and, I guess, somewhat conceal that they had an actual really serious, disgusting record. And why that person was hired is beyond me. It's a situation of constantly escalating, fucked up situations. And at the end, look, for YouTubers who want to make a mark on a world outside of YouTube, the fact that Mrbeast is one of the largest brands on the platform, 300 plus million subscribers, he's not just a YouTuber, he's a mainstream figure. Now, people outside of YouTube, you know, when they look through YouTubers and the news and the big people involved, this is going to be a permanent stain on the rest of the community, right? You know, because here's the thing. If the largest YouTube channel is this mismanaged and messed up, imagine what the mainstream side and imagine what people outside of the scope will think about next time they want to work with any YouTuber agency, right? Or any YouTuber group, because this is always going to be on people's minds. People are going to look at YouTubers as consistently unprofessional individuals that are just ticking time bombs of controversy. And I think for a lot of the professional people in the sphere that try to make sure that nothing bad happens at our organizations, I'll tell you right now, working with Caleb, Oompaville, and a few of the people that I'm personally very close to on YouTube, we're nothing but the most professional idiots on the platform. And to see the rest of the world look at us as complete idiots because of these guys is just the extra little insult. But ultimately, in the end, I want some serious, actual, like, statement from Mrbeast. And honestly, nothing will satiate me. But at this point, I am just interested seeing how you respond to the ever-mounting group of serious allegations that this whole situation has went into. If I personally feel like I'm very low energy in this kind of video, it's just because I'm still mentally trying to process how insane this situation has become. And honestly, the only reason I'm interested into it is because to me, this stuff isn't drama. I know people look at this stuff like, oh, it's just drama and like gossip and tea and everything. It's not. You know, this is a situation that unfortunately affects all of YouTube. It really does. It affects every creator on the platform in terms of our public perception with the rest of the outside world, outside of the scope of YouTube. But it's also a situation that is a grim reminder of... It's just a reminder to be more professional, you know, in a situation like this. It's a reminder that... It's a reminder that if you're going to run a YouTube channel, you should run it with some tact and care. And when it comes to this Delaware situation, it's just one of those things where it becomes one of the largest bombshells. How this happened is going to be a question that I think video essays will tackle years down the line. Anyways, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.